meeting commences tonight, we pray for your guidance. We pray for your wisdom. We pray for your divine direction. For our leaders, let your will be done here, and let the presence of the Holy Spirit fill this chamber. Finally, Lord, we pray for your continuous safety, blessings, glory, and divine presence in the city of Colleyville. Thank you for answered prayers. All these we pray in Jesus' name. And the people say, Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Pastor, for coming and saying the invocation for us. And I see your church building right close by is coming right along. Looking good. And welcome everybody for being here. Thank you for coming. We really appreciate it when you come and participate. And I know there's always a lot of people watching on TV too, so we appreciate you. Tonight, as I always say, we have a number of items on the agenda that we'll have anything we vote on, we'll have a public hearing on, and we really encourage participation. There are cards in the back you can fill out. There's agendas back there. If you'd fill one out, we'd appreciate it. It just tells us what agenda you want to speak on. But whether you fill it out or not, if you want to talk, I'm going to let you. I will always ask if everybody has spoken at a public hearing that may want to before I end the public hearing. So thank you. So we will move right along, and we just came out of executive session. We always have executive session just before this meeting, and at times we have actions that we need to take out of executive session, and tonight we do have a resolution that we need to read and have a public hearing on and vote on. So let me get right to that and read that public resolution. This is Resolution R-19-4396, a resolution approving council action regarding executive session items at the regular city council meeting of July 2, 2019. Whereas following discussion in executive session in full accordance with the requirements of the Open Meetings Act, the city council determines that the following action is in the best interest of the health, safety, and welfare of the public. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Colleyville, Texas, Section 1, that the City Council hereby authorizes and approves an economic development grant incentive agreement with JRSR Properties in an amount not to exceed $72,000 for building signage and landscaping improvements on the real property located at 5121 Thompson Terrace. The city manager or his designee is authorized to execute all documents necessary to effectuate the foregoing economic development incentive agreement. Section 2, that the City Council hereby authorizes and approves Whit L. Wyatt to continue to represent the city as city attorney effective immediately. The city manager or his designee is further authorized to execute a new engagement agreement with the law firm of Woods Banowski PLLC and provide notice of termination of the city's current professional services agreement with the law firm of Nichols, Jackson, Dillard, Hager, and Smith LLP, and direct the same to deliver all city files to Whit L. Wyatt, Wood Banowski PLLC, 3710 Rawlings Street, Suite 1000, Dallas, Texas, 75219, and it is so resolved. Adrian, did you want to comment on that first item there?
I certainly can, Mayor. So you may be familiar with the city's BEST grant and improvement program that's intended to be a beautification incentive for our State Highway 26 corridor, our major commercial corridor here in town. We've been promoting the grant program and its availability, and Jason Ridley, the property owner here at this building, which most may be familiar with, is the home of Colleyville Florist and Colleyville Prayer Room right here at Thompson Terrace and 26. Jason's proposed some substantial improvements to that property in order to participate in the grant.
Do we have the slides we saw in executive session?
We do not have the pictures available, but
Okay.
I can pull those up if you'd like.
All right. Very good. So thank you. The second one I'll comment on unless you want to, but basically our city attorney, who's doing a great job for us, is actually switching law firms, and so we do want to retain Whit as our attorney. He's done a super job for us. We work him pretty hard to death, I think.
It's enjoyable.
And we got a good deal. So anyway, the second part of this is to basically retain WIT, but we need to switch the firm from a legal contract perspective, so that's what's happening. Anything else?
Mayor, if you'll wait just a moment, Adrian's going to
Okay,
bring the
good.
photo down.
Good. So which,
Okay. So the photo image on the top of the
Yeah.
slide is the building as it exists today. The lower right-hand image is the architect's rendering of the building facade improvements, which will include painted brick.
yeah, well, he turned it up so it could pick you up.
It'll include painted brick, additional stone or masonry there on the bottom portion of the building, new windows, improved roof, improved landscaping, really,
Yeah.
substantial beautification to that property.
Yeah, so this is the building that's right, when you go across 26 on Thompson Terrace, that's that building right there, the prayer room is there, the little stone house is to the left. And so this is gonna greatly improve that building facade and look, and so that's one of the reasons we did this program. So just wanted everybody to see what we were talking about. Council, have any other comments or open the public hearing? Okay, so that's what this resolution is. I know you didn't know that was gonna be on here since it was executive session. I'm gonna open a public hearing. Public hearing is open. I know I don't have any cards. If anyone wishes to speak on either one of these items, you're welcome to do so. Just let me know. I see no one indicating they want to speak, so I'm gonna close the public hearing. Public hearing is closed, so a motion is in order.
I move to approve Resolution R-19-4396.
Second motion.
Okay, I have a motion to approve by Councilmember Rigney, a second by Councilmember Dodson. If there's no other discussion, we'll open the vote, please, ma'am. And whenever you have it, you may show that vote. That motion is approved, therefore the resolution is approved. We will now move to agenda item number 3, which is our time for announcements, proclamations, and presentations. And if you watch us at all, you know we always have announcements. So I had a couple of things I wanted to mention. I know there's some others. I wanted to, do you have that picture? Yeah, so I was surprised this week. First Colleyville Squad Youth Group, led by Jesse Jennings, the high school course intern, surprised us and came up here and they'd made a cake. Spent all afternoon, and that picture at the below is Nemo. That's not the cake, that's a picture of Nemo. The cake's up there. Didn't quite look like Nemo, but pretty close. But it was a lot of fun, and I really appreciated them coming up, and I wanted to acknowledge their efforts that they did that. That was really sweet for them to remember us. So thank you guys if you're watching. The other thing I wanted to comment on, as everyone knows, Rigaria's restaurant here in the village burned to the ground recently, very tragically and unfortunately, and they are working to get that cleaned up. Fire chief and fire marshal have worked with the building owners for a while and got the investigations done so it could finally be taken down and hauled away. It's not quite done. I think you told me it may be done tomorrow?
Hope that by the end of this week.
By the end of this week, it should be completed. And so that does cause a little traffic because there's a lot of heavy equipment coming in there and hauling away a lot of debris. The city is working through Jerry's. They do want to stay in the city. We certainly want them to stay in the city. It's a great restaurant. They've been here a long time. So we look forward to them relocating, and we're doing everything we can to help them do that. And so that conversation continues. The other thing I wanted to let everyone know about, because most people don't, the city is a member of something called the Text 21 organization. And that's one of those organizations that many cities and organizations join. It's a organization really connected to transportation issues, and they look at transportation issues throughout the state. We joined, not really for that, we joined because they were a great avenue into access to legislators and things of that nature that means something to you as citizens and us as elected officials. And I just wanted to compliment them. They've been in existence for maybe 20 years or so. David Dean, who used to be Secretary of State for Texas, and Linda Harper Brown, who was the state representative for many years, are the kind of the lead people in that organization. And Linda worked, me and Jerry especially, worked a lot with her. I kept reporting to everybody as the tax legislation went through Austin, and I was in support of that. I was down there numerous times, and she really helped a lot organizing and getting in contact with certain people in the governor's office and whatnot. So I met with the governor's, and Jerry did too. We met at the governor's office numerous times as that legislation went through, and I just wanted to give them a shout out. Let everybody know that. I mean, we pay like $2,500, I think, and well worth the money that we got out of it. So we will continue that activity. That's all I wanted to say.
I've got a few. Number one, I'd like to start off with that council and I are a little disappointed that we weren't invited to have a bite of that Nemo cake. You kept it to yourself.
Hey, I left it up here at City Hall.
Well, look at me.
Staff.
I'm the mayor. Yeah,
It was a surprise, it sounds like.
yeah, it was a surprise.
It was.
Surprise to us that there was nothing left.
Had a
Other thing
lot
is
of
I'm-
icing on it,
It
like
looked
that
good.
much.
That much, I
Yes.
like icing.
It does look good.
The other thing is I want to wish old Chuck Kelly a happy birthday down there.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, big boy. Way to go. Made another one this year. So, hey, let's talk about Stars and Guitars, the event last week. We held the Stars and Guitars event, and we had John Michael Montgomery and the Patriotic Theme Fireworks Show. Had a great time. Did you guys have a great time? I hope you did.
Yes.
Yes.
Sure did.
This event was the accumulation of so many efforts. The city council set the tone last year with the stated desire to produce an exceptional event, and I think we did that.
Yes.
City staff and our event committee did not disappoint. We know that. City staff from the library, police, fire, public works, parks, Colleyville Center, the IT guys in the back nobody ever gets to see. Shout out to you boys back there. Appreciate y'all. City secretary and the city manager's office worked tirelessly to bring us that event, and it was an exceptional event. And we thank each and every one of you guys for doing that. Thank you so much. Earlier this evening, we discussed the event and ideas for next year. So we welcome all your comments from the public as well. If you like,
Barbara said hi, it's gotta be better next year, right?
Yeah,
it's got to be.
Very high bar.
Man, I'll tell you what, that's going to be pretty tough to beat. It was pretty
It
good,
is.
huh?
sure will.
If you'd like to offer comments or suggestions, please contact the city manager's office at, write this down, 817-503-1111. That's 817-503-1111. And Jerry's ready to sing a few tunes to you if you have questions. We were listening to him earlier. He was,
Gladly.
yeah,
And if you have any ideas of acts you'd like to see or suggestions about the event, we certainly welcome them. We want to bring forth another wonderful event next year, so we're open to all ideas.
excellent.
Okay, with that being said, we're going to go back to what Adrian presented, the BEST grant program. It gains momentum. Last week, letters were sent out to all of the Colleyville businesses along Highway 26. The letter provided information on two current grant programs. We've got the SIGN grant program and the BEST grant program. We want to do everything we can to make sure businesses are aware of these opportunities and that they are available to them. So that's why we're mentioning it again tonight. Since the mailing since the mailing went out, we have had many phone calls. I think up to 3 a day, right? Adrian's been getting a lot of calls, a lot of interest because we're nearing the end of Highway 26. And so people are wanting to spruce up their buildings. So we're very excited about this, so please call in, talk to it. We've got that. And also the SIGN program, it provides economic development grants to enhance business signage, while the BEST program provides facade enhancement grants for commercial buildings along the highway. So if you think that your building might need some of these spruce ups to go along with Highway 26, give us a call, and we would love to hear from you.
And I get to talk about a really great new thing from the Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce is partnering with the city and GCISD on a new mobile app. This app will take our chamber digital, allowing them to promote local businesses and community events. The city will fund the city and school district cost of $5,000 each as part of our ongoing TIF economic development incentives. And we're pleased to be able to partner with both GCISD and the Chamber in this endeavor and have agreed to fund both the city and the school costs from the TIF dollars. So be sure to get out there and download that app.
Great.
Is it ready right now? Is that?
No, it's
now.
just
Go?
not there yet.
Not yet.
No.
When's it gonna be ready? October or November timeframe.
Cool.
So we will keep you updated, I'm sure.
Okay. I'm going to report on the water quality report that was mailed to everyone's home. Residents should have received the annual water quality report that was mailed out. The report outlines the various water quality indicators within the drinking water supply. The analysis contained within the report was derived from EPA mandated testing. Not everyone is totally happy with EPA, but we do want to make sure that our water quality is outstanding. And it's issued annually as an information source so that you can tell exactly what is in the water and what the standards are alongside it, and you'll see that we've met all of those standards. If you have any questions on the report, please contact our Public Works staff at 817-503-1090, 1090. That's all I have.
Excuse me. I want to remind everybody that the summer reading program is going on at the library, and it's hard to believe it's already July, so we're already a month into summer. And we're now on the downhill slope towards the end of the reading program. And the summer reading grand finale will be Friday, July 26th. It'll be a lot of fun. It'll be an outdoor celebration with a live DJ, children's arts and crafts, face painting, balloons, carnival games, bounce houses, inflatable rides, special guests, and more. So all ages are welcome. It should be a lot of fun, and I hope that if you haven't had a chance to participate in the program yet this summer, that you get out and join us.
And work has started on the Colleyville Center. The center is undergoing enhancements that include window repairs, new French doors, fresh landscaping, and interior trim updates. Upgrades will include a 3,900 square foot courtyard with a water feature and metal trellis for wedding ceremonies. The center is expected to fully reopen in September.
And I just wanted to jump back in because my wife reminded me too that don't forget about the Colleyville Farmers Market that happens every Thursday over at Colleyville Center. They're really bringing in more vegetables now that the rains have slowed down a little bit. They're even having vegetables grown locally here in Colleyville. So make sure to get out there, get there early because they run out quick.
Very good. Well, I have one more thing to do under agenda item number 3, so I'm going to invite the Assistant City Manager, Adrian Lothry, to meet me down the front. So, can you hear me? Yeah. So Adrian is, I recognize Adrian and her group. She's responsible for this year's budget. And the Government Finance Officer Association, we call that GFOA, and I always have to read that because I never remember what that meant, presented the City of Colleyville with the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for fiscal year 2019. And Adrian is responsible for that budget, does a fantastic job. So I commend you, all of us commend you, and the whole staff that works on that. I know many people do. But the GFOA reviews the budget documents on an annual basis and assess how well an entity budget serves as a policy document, a financial plan, an operational guide, and a communication device. In order to receive the award, the city has to satisfy many nationally recognized standards. And, by the way, the city of Colleyville has received this award 25 years in a row. Wow. And so, yeah, she deserves an award. Applause for that. It's a big deal. So one of our values is excellence. I think this is one representation of budgets done in an excellent way. So this thing is heavy. So this is the plaque. It has numerous medallions for the other years that we won it for, but that represents that award. So thank you for all the work you do. You want to say anything?
No, I'll just say this award is certainly not about me. This is a group effort, and there's so many of our staff. We start in March with budget kickoff with our team and go through many departmental budget meetings, and the council puts in a ton of time and effort during budget season, lots of extra hours and work session meetings. So it's really a team effort in the city to make our budget what it is, and I think that's part of what makes it excellent.
Well, I will say this, it does take a lot of work and a lot of meetings on everybody's part, as she said. We're in the midst of the budget cycle right now. And I will say this, from the time I've been back in office, it's been greatly streamlined in terms of how it's done. It really makes it a lot easier. So thank you. And by the way, so next year it won't be Adrian up here, it's gonna be Mark up here, right, Mark?
That's right, 26 next year.
Switch duties this year. So thank you. Okay, now we can move to agenda item 4, and it's always the consent resolution. So this is reading and public hearing of resolution R-19-4397, a resolution approving city council action under consent items at the regular city council meeting of July 2nd, 2019. Whereas city council has taken action on certain items on the agenda under consent items, now therefore be it resolved by the city council of the city of Colleyville, Texas, Section 1, that the agenda decisions approved by city council action under consent items as follows are hereby adopted. Section 1, A, approval of the minutes of the regular city council meeting of June 18, 2019. B, approval of the minutes of the city council work session of June 20, 2019. C, approval of the renewal for medical insurance and award of dental insurance to Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas, and authorize the city manager to execute the agreements. D, approval of the construction contract with SPI Asphalt LLC for the 2019 hot mix asphalt concrete project in an amount not to exceed $1,011,200 and authorizing the city manager to execute the contract. E, approval of a construction contract with Prater Electric LLC for the City Hall Library Emergency Generator in an amount not to exceed $364,500 and authorizing the city manager to execute the contract. F, approval of an amendment to Resolution R-19-4388, Item D, transferring the West Coast at John McCain Intersection Improvement Project from MSA Professional Services, Inc. to Kimley Horn and Associates, Inc., and authorizing the city manager to execute the contract documents for the project, and it is so resolved. And I just noticed a correction on, Ms. City Secretary, on item F is actually labeled A, so I just need to be changed to F. So the minutes are clear. Renewal the medical insurance. Do you want to say anything?
Jesse's.
Yeah.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Jesse Perez, Director of Human Resources. Tonight, we'll be discussing insurance renewal. In April and May of each year, the city evaluates employee health insurance for the upcoming fiscal year to ensure it's remaining competitive on insurance and premiums. This year, staff instructed the city's benefits broker, Hub International, to seek competitive proposals using the city's current plan designs. Only medical and dental insurance were bid, as the other benefits were in rate guarantees. City staff, Hub International, and the Employee Benefits and Wellness Committee evaluated the bids for proposed benefit levels in plan designs and premiums. During the June 18th, 2019 City Council work session, Hub International presented information and discussed with the City Council the employee health insurance bid results and provided recommendations for fiscal year 2020. For the medical insurance, the city's current medical carrier, Blue Cross Blue Shield, they typically provide the initial renewal rates to the city in May. However, the city went out to bid for our current medical plan designs in April. Carriers were asked to bid on the 2 current medical plans as well as other plan options in order to evaluate alternatives. The city's insurance broker named Blue Cross Blue Shield and Cigna as the finalists and entered into negotiations phase for best and final offers from both carriers. The best and final from Blue Cross Blue Shield was at a 7% increase to current premiums. The city was provided with the option to package dental insurance along with the medical, which would save an additional 1% off the medical rates. This would take the final increase to Blue Cross Blue Shield for 6%. In addition, the renewal did include a $10,000 wellness credit, which offsets the cost of the city's wellness program offered to employees. The best and final from Cigna was a rate pass, which is a no increase or decrease to medical premiums. The recommendation from the broker was to remain with Blue Cross Blue Shield for another year. With the 6% rate change to premiums, the budgetary impact for fiscal year 20 would result in an increase of $133,131 to premiums. The broker, Hub International, has advised a prudent long-term approach outweighed a greater short-term savings. The city will have 6 years with Blue Cross Blue Shield at the end of fiscal year 2019. Changing carriers would affect the city's ability to seek competitive bids in the future. Should the city select a new carrier, the claims incurred under the carrier would be considered immature to other carriers during the next year's bid process. The city would be considered new in the market regardless of the claims activity incurred with the previous carriers. Also, frequent change in carriers to only gain the best rate can cause a city to have an unstable or risky reputation in the marketplace and can limit the desire for carriers to bid on insurance in the future. For the dental insurance, the city's insurance broker named Blue Cross Blue Shield and Cigna, and they entered into negotiation phase for best and final offers. The best and final for Blue Cross Blue Shield was at a 16.7% increase to current premiums, and the best and final from Cigna was at a 4.8% increase. While Cigna was priced lower, with Blue Cross Blue Shield, the city was able to package both dental and medical insurance, which helped to achieve a lower rate on the medical insurance. In addition, the best and final from Blue Cross Blue Shield included a one-time $20,000 premium credit, which would cover the total increase Blue Cross Blue Shield dental proposed this year. The city has had Blue Cross Blue Shield dental in the past in 2017 and had no substantial issues with their service. On an update on the insurance plans that were not bid, on the city's basic life, accidental death and dismemberment, and long-term disability. While these lines of coverage were not bid, the current carrier, Dearborn National, did present a rate pass with no benefit design changes for the next 2 years, and also a reduction of 4% or $1,632 was negotiated for these employer-sponsored benefits. No changes were recommended at this time, as the current plan of benefits are in line with like entities. So in summary, the city's annual insurance renewal process provides an opportunity for the city to strategically evaluate available options for all lines of coverage and optimize its benefit offerings to employees. Hub International works closely with staff and the Benefits and Wellness Committee to formulate the most beneficial, cost-effective recommendations that are then brought forward to the City Council for consideration. So just as a recap of the cost, the impact for benefits on the medical, the recommendation is to renew with Blue Cross Blue Shield with the same plan designs with the 6% increase to rates for packaging medical and dental at a cost increase of $133,131. For dental insurance, the recommendation was to contract with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas with the same plan design at a 16.7% increase to the rates at a cost of $19,904. The recommendation is to package dental and medical with Blue Cross Blue Shield for a one-time $20,000 credit on dental premiums, which offsets the increase the dental Blue Cross Blue Shield was proposing. And then also, the recommendation is for the reduction to 4% to employer-sponsored benefits and rate guarantee with the current carrier, Dental National, for basic life, AD&D, and long-term disability of $1,632. So if the recommendations are approved, the total budgetary impact to the city would be an increase of $131,403 in fiscal year 2020. Are there any questions?
Okay, so the bottom line is, basically, from a insurance perspective, we're keeping the same insurance for the employees. They all have basically the same coverage. I know dental is with a different carrier, but I think what they get out of it's the same. Is that correct?
Yes, we were with Blue Cross Blue Shield
Yeah.
Previously, and then
Yeah.
we made the switch to Cigna. It was a seamless change.
Yeah. And the other factor is, I think we plan to completely absorb this increase in our budget, so it's not going to be any cost increase to any of the employees.
That is correct. It's being proposed that the city
Okay.
absorb the full increase.
And so it saved us money to do the dental with the package, the dental, I guess, since that's a one-time $20,000 reduction. We won't have that credit next year, so we will suffer a rate increase next year should we stay with them. But
Yes.
but it's a lot less than what the medical.
Yes,
would've been.
the last year to 2 years,
Yeah.
the city has experienced high utilization on the dental. So if that were to continue, we would potentially see an increase for next year.
Well, I mean, we really get a credit for 19,000 this
Yes.
year. Well, the credit won't be there, so we'll see.
That is correct, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Any other comments or questions from anyone?
No, this is
Okay.
great.
Very good. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ray's going to comment on the next three probably, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay. Mayor, council members, good evening. Ray Silvarez, Director of Public Works. I'm here to speak for the remaining items, as the mayor pointed out. For D, I'm here to seek approval for the 2019 HMAC project contract. As a part of the 2019 CIP and local street maintenance program, the following roads were identified to be either milled or overlaid, milled and overlaid, or just overlaid, depending on the respective payment conditions. The original roads on tap were Van Oaks Drive, Bill Simmons, and let me get these. So, sorry, the original roads on tap were Van Oaks Drive, Bill Simmons Road, Patterson Lane, Thompson Terrace, Phelps Drive, and Acuff Lane. Before we sent these projects out to advertise, we took out Thompson Terrace. We postponed it to a later year due to the State Highway 26 project. We didn't want to add any more to that area as they're undergoing the State Highway 26 project. We did, however, replace it with Bettinger Drive since the county will be working nearby at White Drive. And in this contract, we'll be doing Van Oaks Drive. These three roads tie into each other, so we thought it'd be an easy tie-in for this road to replace Thompson Terrace. The opinion of probable construction costs for the roads listed above is $657,421. Prior to advertising this project, staff was directed to include two sections of Glade Road. The first section is from Poole/Jackson intersection to Overhill Drive, and the section is a small 300-foot section on the west side of Glade near Mill Creek Drive. Also included in this contract is resurfacing the parking lots for the service center and for the Colleyville Center. This bumped the opinion of probable construction cost to $1,092,050. The proposed low bid amount is $1,011,200 from SPI. There was a total of 8 bids, and there was a discrepancy between the low bid amount. SPI had made a math error during their bid tabulation. After they were informed, they said they would honor that original number, so that's the price that we're going with. Staff recommends approval. Okay. So that's what I was looking for earlier, okay. For the second one, for E, I'm here to seek approval for the City Hall/Library Emergency Generator Project. This is finally one that we've been working on for quite a while. We finally got it located to the spot by the baseball fields, right in front of, behind the dumpsters, which would also be taken apart, not a part of this contract, but will be done conjunctionally. If you remember, in July of 2018, the city accepted a grant from the Texas Division of Emergency Management in the amount of $149,813, with the remaining balance to be covered by the city. which would be, with the low bids, it would be $214,687,000. We did receive 8 bids, with Prater Electric being the lowest base bid of $364,500, and staff recommends approval. On this one here, this is, if you remember, back in June 4th, I brought this to you to award the design for Westcote and John McCain intersection, roundabout intersection. It was awarded to MSA. Since that time, MSA has sold their Texas office to Kimley Horn. They never got a chance to execute the contract, so we're bringing this here before you. They are willing to honor the original contract with the Westcote and McDonald, finish that project up. But as far as this one goes, they wanted just to go ahead and give it to Kimley Horn. Now, the Texas office that's going to Kimley Horn stayed intact. It is the same design team, so we do have some continuity moving on with Kimley Horn. And nothing changes, but just the name, the company name, and staff recommends approval on this one too. That's it.
Very good. Council have any questions or comments? Ray?
No.
Very good. Thank you, Ray. So with that, I'm going to open a public hearing. Public hearing is open. We have no cards. Kathy, come on up.
Kathy Headley, 204 Timberline Drive North, to represent myself. I am concerned, we are constantly paving and repaving and paving again Glade Road. I bet we have done it just since I've moved over here 3 times. And we're having to do it again, and I guess this is a section. Are y'all holding the people that do the construction of the roads accountable for the job they're doing? My gosh, we're paying out the nose for this, and we're having to do it again and again and again, just in a matter of a few years. This is ridiculous. You need to start holding these people's feet to the fire. I'm upset. That's my tax dollars. Thank you.
Maybe to clarify something, I think tonight you may not have seen the slide. It was kind of small. This is for 2 small sections. We have paved multiple times, but they have all been on different sections of Glade. And if I'm incorrect, tell me. Yeah, it's hard to see where I can't point. So there's 2 little red sections on Glade. That's what this is for. Previously, we had made a decision. Glade Road is going to be reconstructed completely. It's a big project. It's going to start right at the tail end of Highway 26 because we didn't want to tear up Glade with 26 because that's going to be painful, 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 and 26 is already painful. So in the meantime, because the pavement surface was so bad, we decided to put overlays. So we've had several projects, but it's been putting overlays on different sections of Glade. I believe this is the last 2. Ray, is that right? So this kind of completes the overlay on all of Glade, is that right? And I'm still in public hearing. Let me take care of that real quick. Stay up there, don't leave. Anyone else wish to speak on this item? No one else wishes to speak. I have no more cards. I'm going to close the public hearing. Public hearing is closed.
That is correct. This would be the,
Okay.
the final leg of Glade Road before we
Yeah.
get into the
Okay.
major construction.
All right, so we will have completed doing an overlay on all of Glade when this is done?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think that there's a little bit of confusion, because where we did overlay was actually west of Pool. This is gonna be east of Pool, where it's real bad in front of the McCormick's houses.
Yeah.
And also Bill Simmons, that's, I drove it last night just to kind of check it out again. It's really, really bad in Patterson as well, so
Yeah.
that's where those few places are that are by Glade Road
Yeah.
as well.
That's correct.
Thank you. I hope that answered your question, Kathy, but.
Yeah, I think it was, one other thing, you know, we thought perhaps we could get by without putting an overlay
Yeah.
on the part that we're gonna rebuild, but in fact, it got very, very bad. The traffic was so high, and part of that was because of other detours that had to take place, so it's, you know, we're not doing it to throw it away. We're doing it so that we can have reasonable traffic and not, you know, tear up cars and everything else. It is, we understand your concern, but we've got to do the best we can to keep our roads safe and travelable.
Very good, so if there's no more discussion, a motion is in order.
Make a motion to approve Resolution 19-4397.
I'll second.
Have a motion to approve the resolution by Tammy Nakamura, a second by Mayor Pro Tem Linda Moon. Would you open the vote, please? And you may show it when you have it. Okay, that motion is approved, therefore the consent resolution is approved. Okay, now we'll move to agenda item number 5. And so this is an update on the State Highway 26 construction project, and really appreciate Mr. Ben Tran. He's area engineer for Tarrant County and responsible for this project. So thank you for coming tonight and giving us an update, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you all for the invitation to make a presentation, the updates on the State Highway 26 projects. I heard y'all mention a lot about State Highway 26 projects, and this is a good forum to provide the updates. Again, I'm Ben Tran. I'm the area engineer for the North Tarrant area office under the leadership of our district engineers, Mr. Loberso. Also with me here today is we had Mr. Noches. He's Melissa Noche. He's a project engineer on the project, and then also we had Stephen Ramp. He's our mobility coordinator for the projects.
Thank you for coming.
Stephen is part of the collaboration effort that we had on these projects to make sure that all the stakeholders, city staff, and test and the contractor on the same page to address mobility, safety, and any design change or traffic control change or any utility conflicts. We're on the same page. So part of his job is trying to make sure everybody on the same page. So State Highway 26, just want to do a quick recap. State Highway 26 is about 3-mile-long projects from the intersection of John McCain's all the way to the south end city limits at Brow Trail. The project was awarded to Jaguar Publics for approximately $38 million. The project is to widen out the existing State Highway 26 to 6 lanes, 3 lanes per directions, with raised medians and raised median and sidewalk on both sides. Also, part of the project is to widen out the Little Bear Creek to accommodate the roadway widening and also the sidewalks. Included in the project is also the construction of the illumination foundation and also landscape. City staff has been working with TESDOT on finalizing the revised landscape for the corridor. So we hope to get that done quick so we can execute a change order with the contractor to move forward with the final plans. So where are we at on the projects? We complete the phase 1s in spring of 2018, about a year ago. Contractor completed the phase 2. They are currently working on phase 3 of the projects, and they had an estimated completion date by fall of this year. After that, it will take about 5 months to complete the rest of the project, phase 4 of the projects, with an estimated completion date of spring 2020, pending weather. This year we had a very unusual weather events, including summertime, so that has been impacting the schedule tremendously. Just to recap some of the work that's been done on phase 2. The project is a layout with 2 sections, one in the north end, based from John McCain all the way to Central Park. The south end section is from Central Park to Brow Trail. So in phase 2, the contractor will be able to construct the inside sections. Right there you see in the yellow colors, the median sections for the north section from John McCain to Central Park. And also on the south end, the contractor constructed the southbound lanes for the future for southbound lane. Here's some of the picture for the phase 2 that being completed. You can see there's new pavements and also new sidewalks. This only show one side, but there will be both sides of the corridor. The new pavements on the north section, the new pavement for the southbound in the and also the inside lanes, and then on the south sections we had the southbound lanes being built. So phase 3, which is where the contractor is right now, is the same 2 sections. Contractor is working on buildings the northbound lanes on that right side, on that first picture on the right. And then they also working on the median areas for the south sections. Again, this is estimated to be complete by the end of the year. Okay. In addition to the new payment that you see here, we have a lot of visible new payments on the northbound area, basically on the east side of the roadway. But in addition to the new payments, we also had some intersections have been realized and reconstructed. One of them is Oak White Drive. We'll be able to open that up and realign with Tinker Road. We also be able to open up the Thompson Terrace to realign with Main Street. City staff and Tesla and the contractor work together and got a solution to maintain some accessibility during the Mother Day weekends. I think CD had brought up some concerns, and we work with the contractor to maintain that accessibility for I think one of the flower shop right there. But now we be able to open it up. So as soon as phase 3 complete, we will move into phase 4. Phase 4 basically is to build that median area for the whole corridor from John McCain all the way to Brow Trail. The phase 4 basically building the medians, building all the crossover, or any other temporary payment that we had out there at the intersections and turn lanes. Also including in the phase 4 is all the signal work to be activated, the final permanent signal to be activated, any signage and irrigation system and landscape. So that and the important ones is that we're working with the city staff on making that final revision to the landscape. Based on the current schedule, the estimated completion of the project is spring 2020, pending weather. That's all I had, and thank you for the invitation.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for that. Couple questions.
Oh, we're going to ask questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll start.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So, of course, as we've talked several times, you know, when we started this project, we really wanted to partner up with TxDOT and work together on this, and I appreciate that. From a city perspective, there was 2 kind of major objectives. One, schedule, and have a good road, a good completed project. And so tonight and we're up to phase 2's completed, so we're working on phase 3 and phase 4 to go. And so tonight you've said on your slide that phase 3 would be completed in the fall, but when you were talking, you said by the end of the year. And then phase 4 would be completed 5 months following completion of phase 3. So that's different. That's a change from the schedule from the last time you were here. I think phase 3 was slated for like June right now of this year. So that's pushed out somewhere up to 6 months, possibly, if it's the end of the year before that's done, which would push phase 4 out to May. Originally, phase 3 was going to be done in June, and phase 4 completed by the end of this year. So I guess my question is, why has it gone that far?
Right. So as I mentioned, some of the challenge that we had in the projects, utility conflicts, some of them are design change. Some of the things that we encounter out there is that we had to modify some of the driveway to make sure that we had a better driveways access into business and properties. And the other one is weather. This year we had encountered a really bad weather situation for contractor to be able to continue to work. The main one, though, is to continue to be utilities. We encounter some utility conflicts with some city water lines, 18-inch water lines, and then we encounter some AT&T utility conflicts, and then also some water lines valves issue. So all that combines, it push out the schedules, just like you mentioned, and so, but we do continue working with the contractors to make sure that we do whatever we can to open it.
Yeah, thinking schedule, the next thing I'm concerned about is, well, if we had that kind of change up to now, will you get it done within this time frame, or will other things possibly come up? What's the risk of these sliding even more? Can you speak to a risk factor, or this going to be done in this time frame? What's your feeling about that?
So, weather, we can't control that, right? However, because what we had done, we had almost completing phase 3, which basically the north-south lanes is almost done, and we haven't encountered any utility lately. That's a good thing. I mean, that's a very good thing. Once we're done with phase 3 and we move into phase 4, we see in the median, in the center, we don't expect to have any utility in the median. Yeah. However, we do need to take a look at our landscape to see how we can move forward at our final landscape layouts, so that we'll be able to stay on schedule.
So when you say landscape, so the city's planning to do the median landscape and so that's, the city's taking over on the landscape once the median is done, correct? When you are gonna put in the power and irrigation in the medians, but then the city will do the landscape in the medians. So when you say landscape, what landscape are you referring to?
So those are the items that we do need to work with the city staff to make sure we finalize the decision.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good question.
Yeah.
Just to follow up on the concern of the transition to the final phase, one concern is that you've got utility relocation that hasn't happened at least 2 intersections, maybe more, that will cause that need to be relocated in order to place the mast arms for the signalization. And do you know what the timeline is for those utilities to be relocated? One example that most people notice is Glade, where we have utilities that are literally where I think your signal box and your mast arm base are going to be. And so if those utilities aren't relocated, do they run the risk in further delaying your final phase?
So the utility question, I think that's a valid question, because we now start installing signal foundations, and so we do need to make sure that we stay clear of those utilities. Relocating utilities at this point, we can look at it to see the feasibility, because some of those utilities will take a very long duration to relocate. So we may have to take different options, whether we redesign or relocate utility.
Okay, so you're thinking at Glade, we may not have to move those utilities that are on the west side?
And I think that is something that we work with with the city staff and the city consultant to make sure that we either take the approach of redesigning the foundation for the signal or relocating, and see how that come out, because sometimes relocating utility will take so long.
Yeah, I just don't know how you're going to be able to do that, because the sidewalk, of course, is one part of that, which could be delayed, but the signal box and the mast arm foundation are clearly a conflict. And if you've got utilities, which include utility poles as well as underground exposed utilities that have been identified that have to be moved, I'm worried that you may have delays in that effort, which would certainly cause problems with that setting of that mast arm? And also, is there concern with your subcontractor ordering the mast arms? Have they been ordered, or is there potentially delay that they're waiting to order the parts until such time as they feel ready to install them, so they don't have to store them? And I know they can have a substantial lead time.
Right. So those are valid questions, and like I said, we're going to continue working with city staff and city's designer to make sure that whatever we put out there will not hinder the completion of the projects.
One last question, Mayor. Just on a 26 question that's different from this project, there has been, we had obtained $172,000 in green ribbon money for the south end of 26, south of the project area, along between Brown and Cheeks-Barger. And we were working with you and your staff to bring some landscaping improvements. And there was one concern about whether or not that timeline would be potentially in conflict with further improvements to 26 South. Is there anything to talk about tonight as far as that project, or is there any way we could expedite our funds to allow us to do the landscaping so that the corridor is improved all at the same time, rather than wait for maybe future construction?
Yeah, I mean, we certainly can sit down with Ray and go over the process and how see how we can expedite and utilize those funds.
Rather than wait for 26 improvements further south that may be way off in the future.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have any idea when the 26 improvements south of where we're at will happen?
So we do have a set of plans.
Yeah.
It's not final set of plan, but it's very close to final set of plan. The challenge we have is funding. Right now, we do not have funding for that project.
Yeah.
I got a couple questions for you real quick. I heard you say, thank you for coming, first off. We appreciate you being here, and the rest of you guys as well. Thank you. I heard you say a couple times about the city water lines and stuff. Whenever you were doing your engineered set of plans, did they not take into effect where those were with the as-builds or surveys or anything like that into your new plans, or were they just all of a sudden there and you guys found them? You just didn't expect them there?
Yeah, the utility location is always part of the design process. But when it comes to utility, the tricky part is it's not precise. Like wherever they locate, wherever they install the location of the utility, typically is not precise. It can be 2 feet from one side, 3 feet
Right.
on one side. And sometimes when we design based on the best information we have, and moving forward, that's usually finds down in construction.
Yeah, so whenever they came out and marked your lines, it was, your dig test, but
Right.
they were were they that far off, or it just seems like a lot of delay to blame on the utilities, and I'm not blaming you, I'm just saying it's just being in that type of business, it seems like everything's already laid out, we know where it's at, it's been pinpointed, it's been shot, and you know where to go, and then all of a sudden, we're saying that there's utilities in your way. It's kind of tough for me to hear that whenever I'm in the same type of business, so.
Right.
But also, how far along, I know we talked about that you're 6 months behind. Is the contractor aware that of the 6 months? I'm sure he is. You guys are staying on top of him pretty good, right?
Right.
So like on sunny days, whenever they can, make sure that they're working, that they're pushing some, because there's a few days I've noticed that they're not out there, and they're not pumping water, they're not drying out, and I just want to make sure that they're cognizant of what's going on. This is right in the heart of our town, and it's hurting a lot of businesses. And I know they get to go home and go sleep at night, while our businesses are going home and stressing how they're going to survive. And so there is a big push that we need to get this thing done. I know that's a lot of pressure on you guys, but we need you to lean on them, because we're going to lean on you, as you already know we're trying to. But when those days come, I know I know Sundays aren't great to work on sometimes, but if they're off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it'd be nice to see them out there Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday until it rains again. So just a little suggestion to you. I'd like to see that they would take those opportunities to do those things, because like I say, I'm in the same business. When it rains, we stop. And when it's dry, we're rolling. So I hope they do the same thing.
Yes, sir.
So, a question about, so schedule is really on my mind tonight, because we're coming toward the end of this, when we get into phase 4, and the city has things to do. So as you said, we need to coordinate in. So we're starting our planning, detailed planning, which includes buying things and everything else, getting all our designs finished, which we're working very hard on. So I'm concerned about the schedule. Any slippage in this one causes us to slip. And that's happened. I don't have any, I guess to be perfectly honest and straightforward with you, I don't have a lot of confidence that we're going to meet these schedules. And the reason, there's a couple of things that one just city manager just brought up, that Glade Road utility conflict. It's been there for months and months and months. I mean, it's visible.
Years.
I mean, you can physically see it. It's obvious because right there, the lanes have been pushed over with a little asphalt so they can drive close, but it's clear they will have to move. I mean, I don't know of any redesign that's going to solve that problem because it's a signal masthead problem. And so my question was, and I know there's a detailed question, but work in coordination to make that happen, planning to get that done should be going on well underway now. Otherwise, you're right, you don't even know what the impact on the schedule is. So, and your answer was, well, we need to coordinate with the city staff. Believe me, we've probably talked ad nauseum. They're probably tired of talking to me about this stuff. I've got every little bit of scrap of information that I think is available at this point. And so I'm concerned about that. I would like more specific answers about that so that our planning doesn't get further impacted from what it is today. The other thing, as Bobby said, and I was going to point this out too, as you know, our businesses are suffer. I mean, it's, how long has the project been going on now?
3 years,
It's
I believe.
several years. And we all knew this, and so we've done many things on our side to try to provide assistance to our businesses and work with you guys, and anytime we see an issue, we talk to you, we try to resolve it. Nonetheless, just the fact that there's construction going on and traffic pattern changing and people can't get into business is really a significant factor, significant. And so that's, again, plays in the schedule. We need that to go away as quick as we can. And so it is true. I'm pleased that a lot of phase 3 is done. The only section of phase 3 that's still being worked on is right there in front of Whole Foods and just north of Glade a little bit. And that's being worked on. The rest of it's done. Is that correct? Basically
that's
done.
correct.
And so the whole north end down through Church Street, I believe, is done. And so there's not any physical reason that I'm aware of that traffic couldn't move over there onto that new area. Now, no, we're not in phase 4 yet, but physically, I'm not aware of any reason we couldn't take advantage of some of that, which would immediately begin to relieve, once we got lanes done on each edge, as you know, that's, businesses have access, it's a lot, some of the pain goes away. And so I'm thinking through and looking for anything we can do now to ease that pain while the rest of the project goes on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, certainly that's a very good suggestion, and we certainly
Yeah.
going to look into that with
Yeah.
the contractors and see what we can do on the north end of the
Mhm.
projects. I know that they currently still working on some of the sidewalks on the east side, and they had to be able to finish out those sidewalk and retaining wall before we can ship the traffic over. Otherwise, we're gonna end up contractor working right next to the traffic.
Yeah,
But that's a very good suggestion, and we will take that up and we will discuss it with the contractor and see what we can do.
Okay. And the question I've got to ask you is when we moved from phase 2 to 3, right? We had a meeting and we discussed how to do that because there were some conflicts in how to make that transition, so that was all worked through. But as part of that, we had talked about allowing phase 3 to start, and the justification, that was a request you guys made to us, and you said the benefit of that is it'll save 60 days. And in that meeting, I said, that's great. We all agree to that. It's great, save 60 days. To ensure it would save 60 days, I'd ask that, well, the 60 days be taken off of the contract days. and that never was done. And I don't have a way, I mean, we can't track those 60 days. But all I care about is, we're 6 months behind, what happened to the 60 days?
So there was a discussion about,
Yeah.
saving up days by having the contractor move to phase 3
Right.
on the north section, because the south section we will still encounter the water lines issue. So there were discussions and with the contractor, but the issue that we had is that we couldn't get the water lines down at Bradford, move and relocate, to be able to get the contractor going there and finish out the phase 2 of that area. And so if we haven't been able to let the contractor move to phase 3, that whole phase 2 will have delays all the way up to this year. The contractor just finished phase 2 of the project down there on the south end. And so it was a benefit to the project to go ahead and get the contractor move into phase 3 and not holding them to the phase 2. Otherwise, we would have to have the traffic in the phase 2 configuration until last month.
Yeah, but doing that says, okay, they can move on, they can move their workers somewhere else and do that work, which they did, which, they accommodated the delay due to that water, right? So
Right.
I'm not clear on that. We are where we are, so we are where we are. That's why I say I'm mostly at this point simply concerned about what the schedule, getting it done, ensuring everyone, all of us, are looking at anything that could impact the critical path and getting those things resolved as quickly as possible. And so I suspect, I haven't seen the schedule. I know you guys run schedules out through the end of the project, but I don't think city staff has ever seen that schedule. They see 30 days at a whack. I know you have it. So this is the one we were talking about, I'm really concerned about, because you didn't tell us, oh yeah, we're working on that, we nearly got that resolved. But you said we gotta consider it, so I don't know what that means, but just FYI, we're very concerned. Please, get somebody focused on those things. I'm just asking, please do everything possible. We will do everything we can do to help you. I don't know what that is since you're running a project, but we would stand ready to, anything we can do to help you. But please do everything possible to keep the schedule from slipping. And please do everything possible to let's utilize what is built so we can minimize the pain to the businesses at this point, as soon as possible. And City Manager, do you have anything else?
Just one last comment, that if you get to the point where you have all of the lanes done, but because you have troubles with finalizing the permanent signals, all I would ask is that you open the corridor with the temp signals and you make the adjustments necessary so that you maximize the traffic flow even while struggling with some of those issues that are on the periphery.
Can I make one last suggestion? I watched you guys today out on that Glade Road, whenever you're doing your reclaim of the asphalt out there, putting it in the trucks. It seemed today they were eased out in the middle of Glade and then making their U-turns at the Glade intersection. If I could just make one suggestion, I'm not trying to run your job, but maybe the trucks can go down through the construction area. That's still hard pavement, and then they could flag man out onto the highway instead of locking down that intersection. Today, the traffic was backed up from Glade almost down to Riverwalk. It was that bad, and it was because they were trying to make that loop in there. I know the trucks were trying to get area, but if they'll come in and they'll face towards the south on that end, that would sure benefit that whole intersection, so.
I'll talk to the contractor about that.
Can you look at the timing on that also? Because I was in that line today, and I know exactly what he's talking about. It was lined up all the way almost down to down to Riverwalk. Only 5 cars were getting through there because I was counting them. I stopped and counted them, and there's just not enough time for enough cars to get through there to relieve any of the congestion. So I'm assuming you all are the ones that work on the timing of the signals. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you look at the one on Glade, because I sat there and watched it for a long time, and it's just not getting enough cars through there. I literally counted 5 cars max getting through that today.
It's a hard intersection now with the with the bumpy pavement.
Right, but even at that, these cars,
No, that's what
they
I
were
mean.
almost airborne.
It makes it even
Just wanted to
harder.
get through, yeah,
Then
exactly.
Oh,
Trying to
you
swing
you
trucks
just
up the
reminded me of something else that people have been talking to me about, and I've observed too, and this is a little off the topic, but it is relevant. So we got the TexRail train running now, and so every time the train goes across, a road out on 26, adjacent to 26, the signal lights short cycle. And it really makes people sit there a long time. So it doesn't appear there's the right coordination between the train signals and the signal lights on 26. I don't know who handles that, but it's really a problem. I've had a lot of citizens talking to me about that and asking how can that be adjusted and fixed. And I would think it could. I know probably a coordination between the railroad guys and you guys, but it's not working very well.
Where is that
at all.
specifically, Mayor? Where is that?
Well,
John
Brumlow, on McCain, on down.
Oh,
further
all,
down,
okay, so you
yeah,
mean every single one?
Yeah.
All the way
it's really,
north, yeah, Pool Road.
McCain North, yeah.
Pool
that's where
Road
that
also.
happens, right. So anyway, that would be very much appreciated. Who deals with that? Who gets that request?
I can get our signal group to look into that and see
Okay.
how we can do that coordination and have some discussion about that.
Yeah, okay.
And the Glade one too, Mr. Tran, if you will, because I had heard that for a while, but today I experienced it with my own eyes, and I sat there specifically because I knew you were going to be here tonight.
Yeah,
So we
in fact,
appreciate it.
that's another thing. Kathy, I'm going to say this for you because we're really not having a public hearing on this since it's not an action item. And I know you wanted, because you told me you wanted to speak and you put a card in. But I think what Kathy's going to ask, she's asked us many times in our meetings, on Glade, going east on Glade, is that where y'all were talking about?
Going
We were going
west,
west.
Well, I'm talking about going east.
but I think it's all of them, Mayor, quite.
Yeah, well, this has to do with signage.
cross.
Oh, signage.
Going east on Glade, if you're in the right lane, you have to, it's a right turn only. And then in the left lane, you can turn left to go straight, and that's the only lane that's supposed to go straight. There is a sign somewhere that's not visible when you're at the intersection that you can't go straight in that right lane, you're supposed to turn right. And I've observed the last 2 days, many people
Go straight.
squeezing out of that right lane, because on the other side is one
Going straight
lane.
across, yeah.
And Kathy keeps saying, well, if you guys would just put a sign up by this light, on the wire, so people could see that when they're at the intersection, that probably would resolve that problem. And I think she's right. So I wanted to pass that on to you on her behalf. She wanted to.
I think it also
Yeah.
exists at Hall Johnson, that same problem. I think also exists at Hall Johnson.
Yeah, yeah. Hall Johnson is done. I mean, that's part of that area that
Yeah.
could really
But
be
there's,
opened
but there's
up.
one section.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's that Hall Johnson
It's
too.
where you go east,
Yeah.
yes, and where people
Yeah.
think they can go
Yeah.
straight, they can't. It's a lot of honking, a lot of.
Yeah.
Needs new
We,
flashing on
just
your
wanted
sign.
to-
people talk to us about that stuff
Yeah,
all the time. We hear about it
I've
all
gotten
the
honked
time.
at a few times too.
Put the sign
Yeah.
on the cable. they get around.
Yeah, cable. Yeah, put the sign on the cable.
And Church Street,
Church Street.
apparently.
Anyway, so there's things that can be done to help. One last thing. So back to the utility thing and the thing at Glade. So I know with utility relocations, there's relocations planned that are done. And I think Buzz is the guy that's been doing your utility relocation work. Is that still right? Buzz, I forget his
Yeah,
name.
he worked for TechStop and
Yeah.
he's coordinates.
Yeah, so does he have a utility relocation plan underway for the rest of the areas and like that area on Glade?
So the utility relocation plan is already done. So
Okay.
his effort right now is trying to coordinate with utility companies whenever we go out there. Let's say we do a signal foundation. His effort is more coordinating
Okay.
with the utility company to find out where's the utility there.
Great. Could we see that plan?
Yeah, we can certainly. Provide you with the utility plans.
Okay.
Whatever we have.
So there's not been an update then?
Yeah.
He's not currently working on some updated utility relocation to address present conditions that are out there? In other words, there isn't a present condition out there that the utilities are yet to be relocated that were not part of the original relocation plan?
There is no current
Updated.
additional relocation plans.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if there isn't one, when will one be developed?
Well, we had the original relocation plans.
No, for Glade Road on the west side, on the northwest side of that corner.
Yeah.
That wall is 6 feet high, or the dirt is 6 feet high. There's a telephone pole right there. The telephone pole is probably right where the signal
Yeah.
pole will be.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to design it for you. I'm just wondering, when do you even know where the utilities are? And when are they gonna be moved back? When is there gonna be a design done? When are the engineers gonna be completed so they can tell some contractor, I guess, general contractor, what to do and how to do it? It's just, I don't even understand how you could be building a road and not know that you're gonna do that. And we've known this problem for 2 years.
It just needs to be looked at. There's the utility box under
Right.
at the bottom. and
Yes.
Where that pole needs to go back. It's gonna have to have a retaining wall and
Right.
your sidewalk in there,
Yep.
so.
Right.
um,
And that's what I'm asking, is Buzz the person that's designing that, or has already designed that? And if he has, can we get a copy of the plan? That's all we're asking.
Yeah, we can provide you with a utility plan for the corridor.
Okay.
Also, I have a question. I had someone ask me, do we have a plan somewhere that shows where the lights are going to be placed down the road? Because there's a subdivision off Tennyson Parkway that is very difficult to get in and out. And how do we find out if there's going to be a light there or where the lights are going to be and what can be done?
Tennyson, just north of Hall Johnson?
No,
Or where?
Tennyson.
South of John McCain,
It's
Yeah,
just more.
south of
yeah,
John
across from
McCain.
Creme de la Creme.
Yeah,
First
just north of
Street,
Hall Johnson.
south of John McCain.
right. I've had someone ask me that.
Oh.
There's a
yeah,
subdivision
yeah,
back there with about 150 houses back there.
Yeah,
And for them to being going,
yeah, I don't think there's a light plan there.
We
we have
had the foundations for the illumination in the plans.
Okay.
But you mean traffic light?
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you
mean-
The
Oh, wait.
signals,
You
the
don't just mean a
traffic
light,
signals.
like a lumen.
No, I mean a traffic
Traffic
light.
Oh, I
signal
don't-
light,
Is there a plan that shows where the traffic
Oh,
lights are
yeah.
going to be?
yes.
Okay, do we know if anything's
Yeah.
going to be there?
I-
There won't be.
I don't know if you know what we're talking about or not, but do you know, Ray, or Steve?
It is south of
Tennyson,
Tinker.
you know what I'm talking about?
Traffic signals will go in where they currently exist now.
Yeah, so there is
No
not one
additional
there
ones
now.
yet.
So that's why I said, I don't think there's one currently planned right there.
Right.
Yeah,
I don't think so either.
yeah.
You know, I just wanted to make one final request that if we could get a commitment from you to get answers to the questions that we've asked this evening, I'm sure the city could put that together in an email.
Absolutely.
Just so we could make sure we get follow-up on, I know we had quite a lot of questions, and if we could just get some answers, best of your ability, that'd be very helpful.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
If I could give my closing statement to you real quick, it'll take 10 seconds. I just want to also tell you thank you. You've stepped up and you've let us talk to you tonight. I know it's 7 people grilling on you, actually 8, the city manager, but there's been also some really positive feedback. They're thankful for the lanes that you are getting, that you are doing. They look really good. Matter of fact, a couple of the residents here tonight live almost at the corner of Tinker, and you guys stepped up to help us out to get that through. So in the midst of our, disappointment that it's not moved along, there's also some positives, and I'm gonna throw that back at you so that you feel a little relief out of it too. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else?
I guess I'll give a little bit of my frustration. When I drive up and down 26, I don't see very many workers out there, and you talked about the sidewalks not being done. It seems to me like sidewalks are the easiest thing to put out there, and it just seems to me like they're going at snail's pace. I mean, I see one truck, one cement truck, doing 50 feet of sidewalk. I just don't understand why there can't be, 30 people out there setting the forms and leveling it off and getting it done. So that's just and it's not just me. I mean, people are calling me, complaining about it. So I just wish something could be done to increase some of the staffing and get things done. Because we're losing businesses, and businesses that are here are losing a lot of money. And it's really, really critical that we get the north lanes open. I mean, I don't understand that at all, especially from Hall Johnson north.
Well-
Or even Church Street to John McCain. Those right 3 lanes
They
are
can't,
really done.
they can't really open that furthest lane. I watched them cut the sidewalks the other day. They're making almost a 6 to 8 inch cut, some places a foot, and the dump truck's got to sit out there on the road. And the Bobcat that they're using is making a complete 360 to load. And so in order for that, they also got to have the room for in case dirt gets flicked out of the bucket and goes over the dump truck. So that's, I thought the same thing the other day. I was griping about it. It's like, why haven't they done it? And I went down there and watched them. But they're moving fast on the sidewalk now. I noticed that they actually put a different machine in there than what they had before. They had a real small Bobcat, now they got a track
I saw
style.
that.
Yeah,
It was-
T-type. So they're getting after it.
They're taking shovelfuls.
Yeah.
I mean, tiny, tiny shovels.
Yeah, they can't get
I just didn't understand it, so.
big track.
Anyway, thank you very much. I really appreciate all you're doing, and I appreciate you coming here tonight.
Man, or any of your team, do you have any questions for us or
No, sir.
request of us?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you for coming, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, that was agenda item 5. We'll now move to agenda item 6A. This is second reading and public hearing of ordinance O-19-2084, amending the City of Colleyville Code of Ordinances, Chapter 6, alcoholic beverages by amending Section 6.5.
I can speak to Mayor. So this item, it's a second reading.
Nobody here to talk, we can
Yeah.
skip this, right?
No,
Nice
no,
try.
no.
Nice
We cannot
try.
skip it.
This item is to amend the city's Code of Ordinances, Chapter 6. Currently, the food to alcohol ratio within the city of Colleyville that restaurants have to meet by our code is 60% food sales to 40% alcohol sales. What this does is flips that to 40% food, 60% alcohol sales.
Okay. Any comment?
I'm excited. I think we'll get some new business.
Okay, very good. We got a deal?
Got
Okay. No, all I was
I
going to
thi-
say is,
I think-
yeah, I'm not, we've talked about this last time. We talked about this in work sessions. I appreciate the patience that you guys had. I know you want to do this. I'm sure we're going to do this. I personally think it should be a different percentage, but that's okay. I'm ready to open a public hearing and get it closed and make a motion.
Let's go ahead.
You are. Okay, let's open the public hearing. Public hearing's open. Have any cards?
No, sir.
Have no cards. Anyone wish to speak on this item? I see no one indicating that, so I'm going to close the public hearing. Public hearing is closed.
I'd like to make a motion
Okay.
to approve ordinance O-19-2084.
I'll second.
Have a motion to approve by Councilmember Nakamura, a second by Councilmember Rigney. The vote is open.
Does it not need to say the amount? I just now noticed that. That's the amount.
You may show it when it's approved. Thought that motion is approved. The ordinance is approved. Moving to agenda item 6B. How easy that was.
We know that
It's
hurts
okay,
you
buddy.
very
How many times did we
deeply.
bring that back to our work session?
You know how much
It's all
you
right,
hated
buddy.
hitting that button.
Okay, this is agenda item 6B, second reading and public hearing, ordinance O-19-2085, amending the Code of Ordinances, Part 2, Chapter 2, Section 2.26, specifically amending Section 18-22, permit issuances, Table 3A, building permit fees. Ben?
Thank you. Ben Briner, Director of Community Development. As you recall, this is related to the passage of House Bill 852, which prohibits the issuance of permits based on the valuation of the project in question. And so that necessitates a change to be able to accommodate those fees, or at least issue those fees based on a square footage calculation rather than evaluation. And so as part of this, and this would be specific to residential projects. So when we evaluated our fees, we tried to come up with a number that would get us pretty much a neutral balance between what the old fees are versus what we're proposing. And when we looked at everything, we came down with, for new projects, so that'd be any new square footage, it would be at $1 per square foot of any area under roof. And then for alterations, remodels, and accessory structures, that is slightly reduced to 80 cents per square foot of project area under roof. When we looked at the different examples, different permits that we recently did, which was provided to you, we came up pretty close to those. Now, these were just 4 specific examples that we pulled. There is going to be some variation. Some will be able to receive less. Some will get quite a bit more. It just depends on the type of project. So where we usually or typically would have received a larger fee for a high-value project, it'll probably be less. But then other projects where it was a lower value, because of the square footage, we should be able to gain more. So in the end, it should still be revenue neutral. However, since this is the very start of this change, we will try and keep track of the differences between doing it the old way versus the new way. And if we feel that there is a change that's needed, a modification, we can come back. Maybe it's in a year, but if it's fairly drastic, we may look at maybe a 6-month time frame. But we will be keeping track of these new permits and how it would have tracked with the old valuation process as well.
Great.
We did, if you see on the bottom part of the screen, just identified some of the other permits that we process regularly. And so we've just identified those. Now, some of those are an increase, but that bottom line, we have also introduced a homestead exemption or a 50% discount for a resident that owns and lives in the house on that property. And so, and where they also act as a general contractor, they would receive a 50% reduction.
So did you say some of those were increased from what it are today?
Right, so a mechanical permit, right now it's based on the building code and it might only be $45 today. This would increase up to $75, but if they're replacing their water heater, that's typically done by the homeowner, and so they would also receive that 50% discount as a homesteaded owner-occupied situation, and so they would reduce back down to $37.50.
Why are we increasing them?
That was my question.
Because it will bring it, so the reason for that is most of our other projects, which includes commercial, we typically have a base fee of $75 because there is an inspection that needs to be done and it helps offset the cost of an inspector going out. And so this would just make everything equal.
The same.
And then with that homestead exemption, it'll bring that back down for a resident to where they actually are either paying the same or it might even be a little bit cheaper.
Okay, so maybe I missed what you said first. Let me replay what I think I heard.
Okay.
Today, there's a different permit fee for commercial and residential. You're making them all the same, bringing them up commercial, but you're giving a 50% discount to people that live in their homes if they do it, to bring them back down to where they would have been.
Yes.
That's
Is that
right.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Is it shown in the packet? I see the commercial permit differences and fees.
Yes,
What
so
we're
I'm
doing
about
now?
to get to that part.
Well, I don't see it in residential. Is there, as far as what we're charging based on the valuation, and now we're charging on square foot, or square footage. I see the difference on commercial, but I don't see it on residential. Am I overlooking something?
Are you talking about these numbers right here?
Oh, I'm just not seeing, let's see.
This change only is for residential only,
not for commercial.
Yeah, we'll talk about commercial next.
Right.
Yeah.
So the square footage requirement is for residential projects only. We still will be doing the valuation for commercial projects.
So when someone does a renovation or builds a home, they pay this dollar square foot or 80 cents a square foot. In addition, they come back and have all the other permits for electrical, plumbing, all that kind of stuff.
No.
Or no?
So for a new single-family residential, all of it gets rolled into a single permit fee.
Okay.
And so that would be at the dollar per square foot. These other ones, you know, a building E-permit, a mechanical permit, plumbing permit, that would be on a
Individual
if they're
basis.
just changing out or adding a new bathroom, let's say. The plumbing, well, I may not be explaining it correctly, but there are certain permits that require just a $75 plumbing permit. If it is for a residential project and it is a homesteaded situation, they would receive that 50%.
And do you answer why we went up in price then, and the difference? as
Right,
far as
it
the
was
fee?
because we have several other permits today that are at the $75 base fee. And so it's just to bring all of those types of permits
Well, I'm
to that
seeing on
$75.
the residential permit fee examples, there's an increase
Oh,
Is it to cover our costs?
on,
Right.
7%.
yeah, I can answer that question. When we were transferring from the traditional model, which is the the valuation-based, we had to come up with a square foot-based program to meet the change in state law. And so we tried to come up with a number that we thought would be as close as possible. And so when converting from the value-based, the square foot price as opposed to the value-based, we had to come up with a number, and we came up with $1.80. And so we thought that would get us the closest to a generic application of keeping the rates the way they are. When we pulled these examples, it showed that some of them were a little bit higher than others. You could just as easily then adjust down the dollar per square foot to 97 cents or 96 cents and try to get these five to balance. But on the overall average, our goal was to create some type of parity between the two, and we're not going to be able to apply that consistently across the board. So it was a change in the system, not intended to create more revenue, the dollar or the 80 cents.
Well, on some of the houses that are in Colleyville, I mean, that per square foot, that makes a big difference. 7% is a pretty
Yes.
substantial difference.
But those houses, and a house that's a larger home that has a higher valuation may see a situation where they're consistent, but a smaller home that has a higher end finishes and is more costly will actually see a substantial savings.
Right.
And so the change in the way the permit is calculated has caused this change that now has to be accommodated. And so we had to apply a simple formula of a price per square foot that we thought on average would result in some parity. And that's where we came up with that dollar or the 80 cents. There's no magic to that. So that number could be adjusted up or down. But what Ben's saying is, we really didn't know. We just tried to guess as close as we could to meet the current revenue as we've got it now.
I just don't want to discourage people from doing a renovation if they have a large-size home, if they're already bleeding money on, the cost of finishes and things like that.
That's
So
fair.
that would be my concern.
And one of the ways we help them with that is, we're just considering the square footage of the area being renovated. And so in the case of somebody who's doing an addition on their house or doing a renovation area, we're just considering those areas, not the whole house. But previously, we would have considered the value of that improvement. And so people got used to the value-based calculation. This is different. And so over time, we may have to adjust it up or down depending upon how it happens over time. But without a whole bunch of cases to test, we just grabbed a quick sample here to show.
Well, we renovated our home about 5 years ago, and so we basically redid I don't know, it would just be a lot when I was doing the math.
Sure.
And then did a couple of additions, so
Sure.
I think a
And-
lot of people do that, so that was my concern.
And Ben, you said you would kind of monitor this for a while to make sure that we're trying to get that parity, and you could come back and recommend adjustments if we're off.
That's right.
Okay.
The other thing we did, we Well, our building official consulted with other communities around, and it looks like $1 for new and 80 cents for remodels is
What they're doing.
consistent with other communities, so.
Okay.
I think it's caught everybody off guard, and it looks like these are the correct numbers, but if they're not, we'll come back and modify them.
I'm sure the legislature checked all that out before they passed that law, right?
Well, they didn't give us the numbers to use, and so we're coming up with those.
I
on our
understand.
own. So while we were forced to make these changes, we thought we'd review the commercial permit fees. And we did identify that we might be low compared to our surrounding communities. And so I did provide last time the worksheet or the analysis, and in yellow are the proposed values. We also provided some examples of what that might do. And it looks like the high one would be on the bottom, the larger value. It would increase it upwards of 35%. But typically on the others, it's about a 20% range. The minor projects, it doesn't change that much. But this would definitely bring us into alignment with our surrounding communities.
Yeah.
By
That's all I
alignment,
have.
are you saying they're exactly at 80 cents and $1 square foot?
No, these are based on values.
Okay.
So for
they're
commercial
not
projects, it
requiring us
still
to
will be values, yeah. And so these are the current values that we use. And so if approved with the ones identified in the yellow boxes, then you could see increases upwards about 20%. On the very high end, it could be in the 30% range.
So go back to that previous slide. So, I mean, people can't read this from TV or in the audience, but what this means is this compares Colleyville to other cities around us, and the yellow highlighted column is what we're going to. All the greens mean that we would be under those cities. The red is we would be over, right?
The greens are under the current rate,
Yes.
yes. So
Yeah,
we collect less than the ones in the green.
Yeah.
But we do collect more than the one in the red, and the one in red is the outlier, which is Grapevine.
Yeah.
But this- this
In every case, they're lower.
But unlike the previous conversation, this program was intended to bring our permit fees more in line with what we think they are in the region, and so that was going to involve an increase.
Yep.
That's right.
And so this was something that is more of a rate adjustment related to the comparables rather than driven by a desire to stay at an even level.
But these columns are a little confusing because the first column, which is the fee, is the current fee, I assume. The yellow is the new rate Colleyville is proposing.
Correct.
But then the green and the red percentages seem to be calculated on the original fee,
That's
not
right.
the new fee. I think that's very misleading because it doesn't show how the new fee also compares to these surrounding areas. And I see that it's the same in some of the areas, but I think it's a little bit too confusing is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, the color coding is not helpful. What's helpful is the fact that the yellow fee is also then compared to what the fees are in the other communities. And you can, and there's the comparable, not the true green. The green was, you're right, pre-change,
Right.
not post-change. No.
Yeah.
For example, on the
It's a very good point, yeah.
on the first section on the top left, by going to $50 will be the same as Bedford, Euless, and Hearst. We would then end up being above North Richland Hills
And Grapevine.
and Grapevine, yeah.
But a better example is when you get down to a larger project, the 2 million project or greater, I'm sorry, the 20, let's go to the bottom one, 25,000, 50,000 is a great example. You can see that our base price is now 500, and that is higher than all but Euless and North Richland Hills. And then our price per square foot after that base price at $13.50,
And Southlake.
excuse me, is again higher than all but Euless, Hearst, and Southlake.
Yeah.
And so the green, you're right, gives you the interpretation that those are all higher than us, and they are not. We're more in the middle to the top now than we are in the bottom.
Before we were significantly under. That's-
Yes,
Yes,
significantly.
and they're different for each one of them, depending upon the category of the
Yeah.
amount of the improvement.
Yep.
Is this a mistake on the first valuation of $1 to 500 Southlake, $100 fee, and then you go to 501 to 2 million, and it's $50, goes down and then back up?
Yeah,
Is that right?
that's 500 to 2,000. That's what the problem is. They're so differentiated that in order to get to the big ticket, it's the bottom right. And
But their
that's
fee goes down as they go up in value?
some of
in
them.
Southlake?
are-
It's weird.
That may be a typo, and maybe that should be 150. If that's the case, then that makes it more dramatic.
That is weird.
But where the,
Any other questions? Were you through presenting?
Yeah.
Okay.
But just to be clear, we obviously don't have a choice in how we're charging it. We have a choice in the amount of money.
and in the case of commercial, you have a choice. In the case of
And
residential.
residential, on the residential
Yeah.
side.
Oh, yeah.
You don't, yeah, residential, we have to go by square foot,
But the percentage
What
is
we
something
vote
that can
on,
change.
if we,
but you can adjust the amount, yeah,
right.
yeah. Okay, we're ready to open the public hearing? Public hearing is open. Do I have any cards?
6B.
From
Yes.
6B? Kathy Hadley.
Kathy Hadley, 204 Timberline Drive North, to represent myself. I think this is highway robbery. I think it's just another way for Colleyville to get some money from the residents. Y'all get a healthy amount from the taxes. I paid an armload full of fees 9 years ago when I had to have work done at my house. And if it wasn't for the guy who was painting my house, he said, "You have a big hole in your roof over here." And of course, I didn't see it. I don't climb a ladder and look up there. So the money that I paid for the fee, I guess, is to cover the cost of the inspector who comes out and checks it. He gave it an A. Why? I had to contact the guy and say, "Hey, there's a hole in my roof, come and fix it." That wasn't my responsibility. That was the inspector's responsibility. I paid for it. So what kind of way are y'all gonna have to check these guys to make sure they're earning the money that we are paying to have stuff done? I think that this really makes me angry. Thank you.
Thank you. That's the only card I have. Anyone else wish to speak? See no one else indicating they want to speak, so I'm going to close the public hearing. Public hearing is closed. Council, have any more discussion? Not, a motion is in order.
I move acceptance of ordinance O-19-2085.
I moved it.
I second it.
Okay.
Now we can talk, though.
All right, yeah, now we can talk.
Yeah,
Okay, so let me announce the motion. I have a motion to approve by Councilmember Dodds and a second by Councilmember Nakamura.
Yeah, I think Kathy made a very good point. The coloring on this on this chart is very confusing. And it really would have been much better if it showed the variation with the new fee.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been sitting here looking at the numbers while y'all were talking. I agree with the city manager. Our numbers were adjusted to put us kind of in the middle,
Right.
slightly above in some cases. But Kathy, you have a concern about this?
I don't know, I think this spreadsheet has thrown me off because
Yeah.
I'm looking at, I think it's just hard for me to put them in perspective. Although when I look at the Colleyville new rates compared to our surrounding areas, the new rate looks perfectly in line and appropriate.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I was
I
looking
think
at.
I'm just more thrown
Yeah.
off by the spreadsheet.
Yeah, no, I
itself, and that's-
understand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with where they are.
Yeah.
It's just that hopefully the next time we look at these, we'll use a little different approach.
Yeah.
And I'm comfortable with what you're charging contractors. I want to make sure that our residents, they stay the same. I mean, that's
I
my
agree
big
on
deal.
that one.
And I don't know if we need to set a time frame. Maybe it's 6 months that we reevaluate the rates that we're doing residential
Yeah.
for comparison. I don't know if that's a fair
Especially-
time frame.
Now,
but just
that's a good question. What is a reasonable timeframe, Ben? How many do we have coming through to kind of run a check? Because I think what we're gonna do is say, hey, come back in whatever timeframe's appropriate and give us a kind of report on how it looks for the residential side.
I mean, after today, we're going to be utilizing these new
Okay.
fees, and so we can start from today, and so we might have some good information in a month or two.
Okay, so if you're back, if 3 months, if we say, hey, Ben, come back in 3 months, give us a report, is that a rational
Yeah,
time? Okay, we'll
Absolutely.
do
So-
that.
Yeah, because we do lots of permits.
Okay, well, then plan to come back in 3 months and give us an analysis on how it compares the old and new for the residential side.
Right, can you come up with what they would have been charged as opposed to what they
Yeah.
are being charged?
Sure.
That's right. So we'll just have to keep track off to the side what it would have been versus what we
Because
will have to.
I, for one, want to keep it in line with what we're making now. I understand that we have to make this change because of
Well, we
the
can,
new laws, but I don't think that we need to add
I'm not a
any
fan
additional
of-
fees.
it increasing at all. I mean, we gotta do the math to be a weird number if we have to, but I don't, on the residential end.
Say it again, Callie.
You're talking
I
about
don't wanna
sitting
increase, because
residents.
on some of it could be thousands of dollars.
Well, yeah, that's why I think that, we need to compare, because I think that they're trying to get it to where it's right in line, but it's
Yeah.
very difficult to see that unless we actually see what's happening.
Well, do we have an example that will be thousands of dollars? Why do you say that,
Right.
Callie? What did you
Well,
see?
I mean, if
that-
it's a new home and it's 8,000 square feet,
Yeah,
wouldn't it be, what, $8,000? And what would they
Yeah.
pay now? How
Yeah,
would you
what-
value
so,
that?
yeah, what was the
Well,
alarm?
It depends.
That's,
yeah,
there's
it's
a
not
really
fair.
broad range. So
Yeah.
like what Jerry was saying, sometimes you'll have very, very high-end finishes, and so it might be valued at $1.5 million, whereas you can also have one that's the same square footage that's valued at $1 million. So that's $500,000 of difference, but the square footage would be the same.
How can you decipher what they're,
They have to
give you
Well,
a
they
rendering
provide-
or something?
they
have to
provide
report
it.
the value. It's part of their permit requirement, they report the value.
So a true custom home will be multi-million dollars in valuation, but it might still only be 7,000 square feet, whereas we do get some million-dollar homes that are 7,000 square feet.
Yeah, I think you said earlier in your discussion or at some point that some of the bigger homes will probably be the ones that get the break. Is that right?
No, the bigger ones
No.
will not,
Will not get the break.
No, because it's.
because they have more square
size.
footage.
The higher end.
The higher end
expensive
ones,
homes. It-
Well, but I'm saying, in our city, we have a lot of higher-end homes.
Well, yeah,
So
we-
I'm talking about examples of what's actually occurred. Well,
so, that's the hard part. We have such a broad range. I'll take the Overlook. They're valued at about $1 million.
okay,
And they're large homes, 6,000 to 8,000 square feet. But we have had some very high-end custom homes that are 6,000 to 8,000 square feet that have been over a $2 million valuation.
okay.
And so even though the square footage is the same, the high-value one will basically receive a discount because it's just based on square footage.
Yeah,
We also have some homes that are well over 10,000 square feet,
yeah,
and they're going to be hit based on their square footage. And it won't matter what the finishings
Yeah,
will be inside because they're already paying that based on the square footage.
okay.
So Ben, are you gonna continue then, because I assume you wouldn't otherwise, are you gonna continue to ask for value in the permit? You're gonna have to have the comparable.
Yeah,
I think we will ask for it, but if they don't give it, I'm sure that we can do our own estimation on what it probably would be.
Because that's
Just
a
looking
factor in
at-
the valuation.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the
Okay, so
comparable, I mean.
passed, yeah.
So just to clarify, so the analysis that the council is asking be brought back forward is for the residential only, correct?
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table, and if we're through with the discussion, we're ready, are we ready to vote? Okay, so would you open the vote, please? And show it when you have it. Okay, the motion is approved, therefore the ordinance is approved. Okay, we're moving now to item 7A. This is a first reading and public hearing of ordinance O-19-2086, consideration of a zoning change from agricultural zoning district to the R40 single-family zoning district on a portion of Lot 1R2, Block 1 of the Mockingbird Hill Addition located at 6260 Pool Road, case ZC 19-006. This is first reading, so there will be no action.
Thank you. So this is a rezoning request to go from our agricultural district to the R40 district at 6260 Pool Road. This is an aerial photo of the site. It is a single property. At one time there was a home. You might also recall the front portion, or I guess the front half, was rezoned about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, to the R40 zoning district. It existed as a single lot at that time. They removed the home. Since then, earlier this year, that lot has been expanded in size. It is still a single lot, and they are now proposing to go forward with construction of a new single-family residence on this property. So I say all that so when you look at this slide, you can see the front portion is zoned R40, the back portion is zoned agricultural, but it is still a single lot. The designation is for residential, so it does comply with that designation. This is just a photo from Pool Road looking towards the property. So the request is for the R40 district, and these are the minimum standards. The current property is, I believe it's 180 feet wide, so it does meet the requirements for the R40 district. It is very deep. It is, I think it's 2.94 acres, so just under 3 acres. It does not comply with the minimum standard for the agricultural district of 3 acres. But the other reason for the request to the R40, besides bringing the entire lot into conformance with the front portion, based on the design of their house, they are requesting the R40 so that they can have the 15-foot side setbacks. So here's the entire lot, and this is the plat that created that lot. But with their plan, their home design, they will have a setback of 18 feet along the south property line and then 17 feet on the north property line. So the R40 would allow for their home design without any variances. All right, I think that explains the request. We did send our notices out to surrounding property owners. We did receive one letter back formally, which was provided to you in your packet. Staff does recommend approval. It does conform to the R40 district, as well as the designation in the comprehensive plan. The
Ben.
Planning and Zoning Commission also recommends approval.
Ben?
Yeah.
So with this letter, this guy sits on 5 acres. What kind of percentage does that throw into that 200-foot circle?
So
The letter's in opposition.
This is 6230 is the address. I did not calculate the percentage. I don't think that it goes over the 20%.
Is the applicant here?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm just curious, I'm curious as to why, is it for the setbacks? Is that the reason that they're doing this? Because I'm just wanting to make sure that there's not any plans on another house being put back there.
Yeah, no, it is a single lot.
Okay, right.
That was created earlier this year. So this, I highlighted the boundary in blue.
Why wasn't it done at that time?
the zoning. They weren't sure of their building design for
Oh.
their house.
Okay.
And so now that that's been finalized, the R40 district would allow for their design.
Yeah, Ben, I hate to see these underzoning to deal with the side lot requirement. I would much rather see RE here with the adjustment to the 17 feet or whatever we
Agreed.
want to put it at.
So to that end, we did send a notice to surrounding property owners as far as possibility for a variance, major variance request. We did identify that that would be heard on our next meeting on July 16th.
Okay.
So if that is, and if that ends up being the case, you will have that option at our meeting on the 16th.
Okay. I mean, that is an alternative. It seems to me like a valid alternative from what I see here.
Yeah, I agree.
What is the side setback on RE?
25 feet.
It's 25, but I
Which
don't
is
see
the
any-
same as the agricultural district.
Yeah.
So
I
the
don't see any
variance would be
reason
the
we can't
trade-off
do
in the
that.
zoning.
What?
The variance would be a trade-off in the zoning.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the trade-off would be RE with a more lenient setback,
Yes.
side setback, yeah.
Yeah, just reducing the side
Be a
setback.
variance to the
Variant,
required.
thank you, yes.
Yeah.
But it also, to me, better suits what we're talking about here, to better ensure that we're talking about one house.
Yeah, I think you are also protected with the R40. The minimum width requirement is 150 feet.
I know that.
And so any subdivision would require a plat waiver, which would be approved by the city council.
Okay.
But again, procedurally, I think both gets
Yeah.
to where we want to go.
Okay. All right.
Was there a response to this letter? Because there were several questions in there.
So this letter was provided at the Planning and Zoning Commission as well. I think once everything was talked through, it was understood that it is a single lot. That resolved a lot of the concerns from the commissioners, and so that's why they recommended approval.
And I can comment on that too.
Please.
I spoke to the author of the letter just to ask if the concern related to the lot, and would something like the RE with a variance alleviate those concerns? And the property owner indicated that their concern was multiple lot division and potential placement of the house and or other houses, and that the compromise proposed at an RE zoning with a variance and the house placement as proposed was in line with what they believed to be reasonable.
Okay, that's all I needed.
Yeah.
Okay, any other I need to open a public hearing. We're through talking about it.
Yes, sir.
Public hearing is open. Do I have any cards? Have no cards. Anyone wish to speak on this item? And the applicants are welcome to speak if you would like to. You don't have to do it at public hearing. See no one indicating they want to speak, so I'm going to close the public hearing. Public hearing is closed. Are you the applicants? Did you all want to say anything or not? Don't have to. It's up to you. Okay, okay.
Our purpose is setbacks, and a variant on a RE would work as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with George. RE is much, it's really consistent with the strategy that this council has put in place in terms of zoning. Although Ben's technically right, going the R40 and going the other way is kind of out of strategy for us.
Yeah,
So I'm much more comfortable with the RE approach.
I agree that.
Okay. Would you come to the mic,
Yeah, can I?
please? And, because you're not getting recorded and we can't hear you. And state your name and address, please, sir.
Just a question more,
Yeah, could you state your name and address for the record? We have to do, state your name and address,
Oh,
please.
okay, Brian Hill, current resident is 5112 Shelton Drive, Colleyville.
Okay.
And so just a matter of procedure, if we go the route of an RE with a variant, does that start the process over, or is that an item that would be settled at the next hearing? Okay,
No.
We got it.
yeah,
You'll be settled next meeting.
easy
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, easy peasy for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
All right, great, thanks.
very easy.
Thank you.
Okay. Had the public hearing, we're done with this unless y'all want to talk about it some more? Okay, then the next item, 8A, is tabled. There's no reason to take that one off the table tonight. I'm expecting that we will take that off the table at the next meeting. We're still waiting to hear back.
Yes, sir.
So we'll move to item 9, which is resolution 9A. I'll find it. Okay, this is Resolution R-19-4398, a resolution approving a final plat for the Legacy North Addition, whereas the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of the preliminary plat for the Legacy North Addition on June 10th, 2019. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Colleyville, Texas, Section 1, that the final plat for Legacy North Addition on approximately 17.32 acres attached as Exhibit A, plat exhibit, is hereby approved, and it is so resolved.
All right, thank you. So this is the final plat for the Legacy North subdivision. I'm sure you'll recall this. We went through the zoning recently, went through the preliminary plat process as well. They are getting close to finalizing their construction documents, and so this will be the final piece, which would then allow them to begin their public improvements. So it is on the north side of Lavaca Trail. As you recall, we did rezone this to the PUDR, Plan Unit Development Residential zoning. It will allow for 25 residential lots, 5 open space lots, and then also for gated private streets. It does conform with the residential designation on our future land use map. So this was the zoning exhibit that was approved. And then this is the final plat exhibit. It actually is the same exhibit that we saw with the preliminary plat. They do have, we pulled some of the civil plans as far as some of the detail, as far as drainage and the improvements to the site. And so if we need to go through those, we can come back to them, utility plans, tree preservation plan. So again, this would be the final step, and then they can begin, once the construction documents are approved, they would begin construction on the subdivision. Staff does recommend approval. It does meet requirements of the Land Development Code and the zoning, and the Planning and Zoning Commission also recommends approval.
Okay.
Ben, these engineering has reviewed everything and are comfortable with what we got?
Yes, they are comfortable. I don't know that they've finalized all of their reviews for the construction documents, but they are currently in that process.
So construction won't start until they've completed all their reviews?
That's right.
And what would happen if they find an issue? Does that have to come back to us?
It won't have to come back as long as it's a minor, what's considered a minor deviation. So we're looking to maintain the 25 lots and also the main design of the subdivision. Every once in a while, especially as they go out, they might have to make a very minor modification to maybe a curve or maybe placing an easement on the other side of a lot. Those are minor, it doesn't change the layout.
Okay.
And that would be something that we can adjust administratively, but any substantial change, that would have to come back to the.
If it changed a lot or.
Right, if they want to add a lot, let's
Yeah.
say, they would have to come back and get
Okay.
approval from.
Yeah, thanks for the clarification.
Yeah.
I'd just like to say that we went out and visited the Stanley's property just recently because of flooding. And with Lavaca actually taking some of that water and deviating it to their property and having these holding tanks, I think that's going to help them a little bit. The flow won't go over those sheet ponds anymore, which I appreciate the developer for doing that. And the other thing is that I went out to the property and looked at just kind of got my eyes on the site and noticed that you have already been proactive in looking at the trees, marking the trees, giving relief to people up and down that street wondering what's going to go on. And now that they see the marked trees, they called me and talked to me about it and are really thankful for what trees you're trying to preserve. So good job.
Good. Super. We still have the public pedestrian access, right? Okay, good deal.
Okay.
I agree.
Yeah, all of those requirements from the zoning are
Got it, yeah.
taken care of.
Yeah, we made sure those are in there, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, ready to open the public hearing? Public hearing is open. How many cards?
I'm ready this time, no cards.
No cards. Anyone wish to speak on this item? See no one indicating that. So I'm going to close the public hearing. Public hearing is closed. Motion's in order.
Mayor, move to approve Resolution R-19-4398.
I second. I second.
Have a motion to approve by Mayor Pro Tem Lindamood, a second by Councilmember Nakamura. Would you open the vote, please? You may show it. Motion is approved, therefore the resolution is approved. Sorry you were at the end.
Thank you.
Okay, moving to agenda item 9B. It's reading and public hearing of Resolution R-19-4392-1A. A resolution amending and restating Resolution R-19-4392-1 approved on June 18, 2019, approving council action regarding executive session items at the regular city council meeting to provide for acknowledgement of the waiver of Village Owners Association dues and fees associated with the acquisition of certain real property located at 76 Main Street. Whereas the Colleyville City Council adopted Resolution R-19-4392-1 on June 18, 2019, authorizing the city manager or his designee to effectuate a real estate acquisition in an amount not to exceed $180,000 plus associated closing costs for 4 parcels of real property located at 76 Main Street. And whereas the Colleyville City Council seeks to herein amend and restate Resolution R-19-4392-1 to acknowledge the Village Owners Association's waiver of dues and fees associated with the ownership of the foregoing property for as long as the property is used for public use. And whereas in full accordance with the requirements of the Open Meetings Act, the City Council determines that the following action is in the best interest of the health, safety, and welfare of the public. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Colleyville, Texas, Section 1, that following executive session during its regular meeting on June 18, 2019, the City Council authorized a real estate acquisition in an amount not to exceed $180,000 plus associated closing costs for the 4 parcels of real property located at 76 Main Street. The city manager or his designee is authorized to negotiate and execute all documents necessary to effectuate said real estate acquisition. Section 2, that all Village Owners Association dues and fees shall be waived in consideration for the property being a public use, and said waiver will remain until such time the property is no longer a public use. Section 3, that this resolution amends, restates, and repeals Resolution R-19-4392-1 approved on June 18, 2019 in its entirety. Section 4, that this resolution shall be effective immediately, and it is so resolved. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, Mayor. Can I just offer one suggested change before consideration of adoption?
Okay.
That under Section 2, where it says that all Village Owners Association dues and fees shall be waived, and then add or refunded
Yep.
in consideration?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because the way they structured the previous deal was
yeah.
a refund.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. So we're going to add in Section 2, right where he says, I'll read that sentence with that addition, that all village, Section 2, that all Village Owners Association dues or fees shall be waived in consideration, waived or funded in consideration for the property being
Refunded.
refunded, yeah. What did I say?
You said
Funded.
Funded, refunded.
It's late.
Thank
It's
you.
okay.
Refunded, yes. Okay, so we'll put that right after
sir.
waiver.
Thank you.
Okay, so that will become part of this resolution. Everybody buy that?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so what's going on here? Let me just explain it real quick. We approved this in the June 18th meeting. We talked about having that condition on this. We even had a VOA Association director here. He was nodding yes, but to make it scrupulously clean, we didn't include that in the motion since it wasn't in the resolution. So to keep our I's dotted and T's crossed, we're doing it like this to make it airtight. So let me open the public hearing if there's no comments. Public hearing is open. Have no cards. Anyone wish to speak on this item? I see no one wishing to speak. Public hearing is closed. The motion is in order.
Could I just make
Sure.
one final mention?
Yep.
If that were not the case, then it would be possible for the village owners to come back and say, or village board, to come back and say, you owe us however many, several $1,000s a year, or at least a few thousand.
If-
What would the fee be? What's the fee that they're waiving roughly?
Well, it's the maintenance fee, the annual maintenance fee, which is about 10,000 a year for this.
Yeah, so that's what, I just want to make clear
Yeah.
that the reason we're putting this in is so that we're not putting in a public public
Yeah.
parking facility, and then the city would have to pay $10,000 a year on top of that.
Yeah, and we're doing it this resolution because this kind of gives direction to the city manager, and so we wanted to be sure that direction was clear. We're not gonna buy it unless they agree in contract, as we have before, that we will get refunded that money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution R-19-4392-1A.
I'll second.
We have a motion to approve by Councilmember Wheat. Who did the second?
Me.
Okay, second by Councilmember Kelly.
Kelly.
Okay, very good. May I open the vote? Vote's open. You may show it. That motion is approved, therefore the resolution is approved. That brings us to agenda item number 10, which is citizen comments, presentations regarding items not on the agenda. I do have cards.
Gentlemen want to talk, I think, about tech stuff, so that's why 5A and 10 are on there.
Okay, Craig Walter.
Good evening. My name is Craig Walter. I'm at 5910 Crescent Lane. Make this really brief because I think y'all did a good job of sort of going over the text dot issue. But I guess the concern that I want to bring up is the presentation that was given tonight was scheduled for April. If it gets where it takes 3 months just to get someone back to do the presentation, it's pretty obvious why we're behind schedule. And I guess the presentation that I saw tonight, I'm sure everybody's in agreement. I know a lot of us in the audience was, but very elementary. There wasn't anything there. I mean, someone could have come up and given that 3 months ago. And there's no detail, like the mayor said, there's no detail of the days. I mean, usually when there's a project manager and there's a timeline and flow charts, we know exactly how many days were lost and why they were lost and where they were lost. And it just seems like the flow charts and the timeline and some of the good intentions, I think we've had a lot of changes, both maybe with TxDOT, but also with staff, because initially there was a group or a person, I think, that was almost assigned totally to this project that was on our city staff. I think he reported directly to Jerry. And once he left, all coordination seemed to evaporate. And you know, as far as when the original project was scheduled to be complete, I don't even know when that was. If somebody can help.
December 2019.
Okay. I know that I saw a Facebook post by a previous city council member, and we were sort of confused, and he said, I think it's supposed to all be done by this summer as far as traffic. The median is going to take longer. Well, now we're hearing that the traffic part's not going to be done until maybe the fall. And, and he's talking about irrigation, and I guess what, they're doing irrigation? And the city's doing landscaping. So where's there going to be coordination there? And the people that are doing sidewalks, and I'm not a construction person, I mean, Bob, you're the expert, so, but I mean, seems like they could be getting the street lights up and the posts up, and they could be doing some work. There, and like everybody said, there's just no one out there during the day, you know, at all. So a project that seemed to go where everyone was very, very optimistic, we're ahead of schedule, we're ahead of schedule, we're ahead of schedule. Now all of a sudden is way behind schedule, and this guy, if he's who we're coordinating with, I mean, I guess it's because we don't have accountability, maybe because we're not paying, you know, for it. There's a, you know, I know we're tippy-toeing around and sugarcoating and trying to do sort of an Oreo cookie, the good, the bad, and the good, to make this guy maybe go out, please, please, please. But, you know, it's very alarming to think that, and I don't own any retail, but the retailers, I agree, they're all dying, and then the only other thing I had too is, did I read right? Are we spending $9 million to beautify this for 3 miles when it's done?
Yes. But that, we're currently in the process of designing that and making that decision, correct?
And I just, I don't know, you know, I want it to look nice, but I hope, I saw on some of the plans a considerable amount of grass. And grass means weekly mowing and a lot of, you know, issues that, you know, I just hope we're prepared to not let a landscaping architect take us down a road with a lot of grass and everything that's going to require people out in the median dodging traffic at 45 miles an hour when it's all over with too. So I don't envy y'all's position, but like I said, I mean, in April to get to July just to get what we got, very disappointing. That's for sure. So, thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna comment, and because I want you to be clearer on you. Are you an engineer?
No, I am
Okay.
not.
You kind of talk like one.
Well, I'm a retired corporate exec.
Okay.
When project managers say something's going to get done in
exactly.
6 months or a year,
That's what I'm used to. And so believe me, you're right. There's a lot of tiptoeing around. You're right. The presentation didn't give us anything. We didn't really know other than schedule, which really didn't even give us dates. It gave us ranges, right? Fall or spring.
And I don't hold that. I'm not.
Oh, no.
I'm not saying that towards y'all, but I mean, I'd like to know who
Yeah,
I
that's
could
what
escalate talking to as a citizen at TxDOT to let them know that this guy, he's not fulfilling what they're paying him to do.
And I wanted to give you a little bit of clarity because you asked some good questions, especially around the city's role. So this is a TxDOT project, flat out they're doing it. So we're not, we can't drill in, believe me.
Right.
We've tried.
Right. No, I understand.
Very hard. And so you mentioned, hey, we had a guy assigned full-time, reported to Jerry and when he didn't do that anymore, it seemed to go off track. It wasn't due to that, believe me. You know, I asked some questions that had a lot of detail behind them. I really didn't expect men to answer those, but I wanted to get enough thrown out there. So with the expectation, we're going to send you some questions and we'd love some answers back. But the dates were June of 2019. Right now, I always have said the outer lanes should be done, complete. That was the schedule. And then phase 4, which is the median, should have been done by the end of the year. And so we don't see schedules. They're clearly, engineers are running this project. They have Gantt charts. They have schedules that run out to the end of the project. Our staff only gets to see snippets of 30 days at a time. Very little detail. We were drilling on one thing that seemed so obvious to us, this one area of glade that we know has to have utility relocations. And if it's not done, it is on the critical path. And if they hadn't planned to do it, I'm afraid those dates are going to slide some more. That will make me even more unhappy than I am about this. And so I just wanted to say enough to you to let you know we're putting a lot of time and effort trying to drill in, and you know, we know all the aspects of this, but it's the TxDOT project,
No,
not our
I
project.
understand, and I guess, you know, and maybe you know this too, but there's a number of places on the southern portion of 26 that they say are complete, that are still simply asphalt curbs.
Yeah,
What's gonna happen there?
well, yeah,
They're saying it's done.
yeah, it's,
It's not.
they talk in terms of completion by phases, and so some of that asphalt curbs is where they have to extend the lane over to get enough, you know, width to drive on. That asphalt will go away, and it will be concrete curbs by the end of this. You know,
Well,
I
like
don't,
I say,
I don't know if
I
that's a phase
appreciate
3 or
where y'all
phase
are
4,
at.
but.
But I mean, I just feel so disappointed
Yeah.
as a Texas taxpayer
Yeah,
Yeah.
that to call, you know, because,
yeah,
you know, escalating it above where this guy's at is, and I'm not saying, I know that y'all have probably done it, but, and it's just, you know, he just doesn't seem, you know, he doesn't seem to be, you know, on board to where, and I've seen just so many projects, like I'm sure y'all have, they get 85% done, and the contractor thinks they're done. But the last 15%'s like pulling teeth to get it, you know, so I just, you know, I guess the disappointing part is, you know, like say, some of the things that when you don't see people out there and things like that. But I do appreciate, you know, and I thought, you know, I came because I thought there would be comments, so I know this won't get back to him, but, you know, I don't think he left with any notes that's gonna make me confident that anything's gonna happen. He just left with his, with his butt. Right, exactly. You know, and I hope he watches this tonight.
yeah.
You know, because, I mean, that was the most embarrassing representation of a formal presentation to a city board by a professional Texas state employee that I think I've ever seen. That was, a fifth grader could have done the presentation and got up and said what he said. And to think that it took us from April to July just to get him back to say that, I mean, the state should be ashamed. So.
I appreciate you coming tonight and paying attention to this, I really do.
Well, you know, and I you know, and I, like I say, I sympathize because I know we're not paying to where we have accountability necessarily, but the transparency that started out seems like it, you know, because, and if you go out online, just one final thing, if you go out online to try to see where the update is, you can almost see where the date, where some of the dates started to just sort of, you know, fall apart.
The magic of that date he's talking about was the end of quote-unquote milestone 1.
Yes.
Right.
That's where it all started, because they didn't make the milestone 1 timeline of October.
Yeah.
And
See, we had, this contract was set up as milestones, which meant phase 1, 2, 3, and 4 had to be done, and the whole contract had a certain number of days. That's why I asked you about days. And so we've been wanting information on that, and
like you
we
said,
can't get it.
you had difficult questions that
Yes.
you wanted to ask, and
Yeah.
that's probably why he said he wasn't prepared to answer,
Yeah.
and he postponed everything.
Yes, that's true.
So, but you know, and like I said, when it's all said and done, I mean, I appreciate the difficulty and how y'all are working in everyone's benefit. And, but it just, to me, it wouldn't hurt for someone independent of that to call TxDOT and just put a little bend in their ear and ask them to maybe watch this presentation this evening and say, was that good enough for the state? Did they answer everything that we probably really needed to hear?
Yeah, just for clarity, the way the project coordination goes, there's a meeting every week. Our staff meets with with a representative of the state project that's not a state employee. That person meets with the contractor. We are not allowed to be in the meeting with the contractor. So that's, gives you a glimpse of how this works. So thank you for coming.
You bet. Thank you so much. And again, I appreciate everything. I watch a lot of these instead of always coming. I used to come more, but when there was different things. But I mean, I know how hard y'all work at this, involving everything. So thanks for everything you do.
Thank you.
One thing, I'm sorry, can I respond?
Go ahead, yes.
We do have a city, well, full-time or basically a project coordinator from the city out there every day.
Yeah.
And in fact, I called him twice today on situations that citizens, call me about. So you said we had a person, tracking it at the beginning. We've had a person tracking it all the way.
Yeah, it's just a
Perhaps it
different
hasn't
person.
been clear to
It's
you.
a different person.
Yeah, I just, when I called up to sort of address some of this way back, I mean, the person that's listed
Yeah.
as the point person online,
Mhm.
he
Yeah, that was not.
He did
James
not
Hubbard at
know,
one time, and then
and he
Craig
sort of
Knight.
referred me somewhere else. So whoever's listed online as.
We
this
need to
is who
change
you
that,
call,
if it's, yeah, okay.
just
Thank you.
updating maybe some of the information's all.
Yeah.
so.
Yeah,
But
that-
again,
yeah.
I mean.
That's a very good point.
We'll get there, but I really do appreciate it.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank
All
you.
right,
Yeah,
thank you.
we know who to contact, and if we haven't communicated that, that's our fault. Thank you.
Kathy Hadley? You want to talk? You want to speak? Kathy? Yeah.
Kathy Hadley, 204 Timberline Drive North, to represent myself, and I want to thank Christine and Ray Silva for the many times Christine heard me talk about, and y'all have heard me talk about the people complained about bar ditches, the ditch on the south side of the bridge on Jackson Road. That was like the Grand Canyon. Well, I told Christine for, a couple of times, and she contacted Ray, and I was driving down Jackson, and they had a really big tractor out there fixing that ditch. Thank you. It is so much better. It is so much better. Nobody's gonna get killed in that ditch. Thank you very, very much for getting that done. Christine, thank you, and please thank Ray. He did an awesome job. Let's see. The median's on 26. I know y'all are interested in just doing lots of rock and brick and stuff like that. Well, this is Colleyville. We're Tree City, USA. Let's have some low bushes. There are drought-resistant and cold-resistant bushes. You won't have to have grass that has to be mowed, just some bushes, and make it nice and something that the little animals and birds can live in. If they need a place to go, they can get there. Plus, if it's icy and somebody is crossing the street or whatever, they're not gonna slip all over on the brick, because the brick, the water will freeze and be like ice, but slick as ice, and at least if there's dirt or wood chips or something, at least they're not gonna fall and break their neck. But drought-resistant plants, so you don't have to worry about watering them. And then the geese on Riverwalk and Bluebonnet, I was on Bluebonnet turning onto Riverwalk, and there are all these geese crossing the road, so I stopped, being a good resident. And by the time they got across, there were 4 cars in line behind me waiting to go, and I'm not moving. I'm the first one. I'm like, geese, I'm not moving, people. My mother gets out of the car. There's another group of geese coming from Market Street to the middle to go across Riverwalk to go on up. So she's trying to get all the geese moving, and then finally I'm able to pull out, and she gets in the car. The reason the geese are having to cross the street is because going over to Market Street side, there's grass and plants and seeds and a place to build a nest over there. By the community center, there's nothing but just grass and a pond, and a deep pond. So, I've talked about y'all need to please put plants over there on that side so the geese will not cross the street. They'll find an area to build their nest. Okay, I'm sorry, I just went blank of what I was gonna say. But anyway, we need to do something for the geese. And then as far as scheduling, with this front area being done, now's the time, as soon as school starts, now's the time to call the choirs, high school and middle school choirs, to get on the agenda to have some performances out there and do it right away in the beginning of the school year. And so you can grab them. I mean, if it may even be, they'll just be finished and have a performance. You've got to jump on the bandwagon, get that done. Anyway, I guess that's it. I really appreciate the job y'all do. Christine, thank you for helping me so much, and Ray, wherever you are, you did an awesome job. Y'all do a great job. I really appreciate it. And the Take Stock guy, I guess y'all have already paid him. I lived in Euless, and they did 157, which is very similar at the time to Highway 26. They did it in no time. No businesses were lost. There's something going on about them dragging their feet and making Colleyville hurt. You guys need to think about how to handle this person. He is just not being nice to Colleyville, and something needs to be done. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all the cards I have for item 10. So item 11 is reports. We have signed Board of Appeals minutes. Any questions or comments? And we do not need agenda item 12, so that brings us to adjournment. And with nobody objects, I'm going to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you.
I see no objections.
Go.
Adjourned. Thank you.